Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame fam, Fantasy Endgame baseball players. We're back not on Wednesday this week, but on Thursday. But we're still getting you ready for the weekend where all the action heats up in Major League Baseball. And then Sunday comes along and all your studs sit. But before then, let's not talk about studs. Let's talk about potential studs. Players that could be studs but aren't there yet. Pierre, we got some big call-ups this week. Dalton Rushing, Moises Ballesteros, Logan Henderson again. I know a lot of people very excited for Jordan Lawler. Talk me through these prospects. Talk me through these call-ups. Who are you excited for? Who are you adding? Who are you avoiding? How are you feeling?
Well, I don't want to be the party pooper, the one to throw cold water. And this happens every year. And people, you've got to be the voice of reason sometimes. Look, I love prospects just as much as anybody else. We love rookies. We want to see the guy who's going to break out and have that season. But most of them don't. And here's the thing is I always will say, pick up if you can, if you have room or, depending on your roster, stash. But look, the reality is a lot of these guys just don't make it right away, or they just don't get the playing time. What have we seen? Jordan Lawler's probably the most hyped of the past week, top 5 overall prospect, right? Number 4, I think, on the entire baseball universe. And so he's come up and he's got all of 5 plate appearances and he doesn't have a hit. Now, that could change, right? Like tomorrow he could hit 3 home runs in a game, or he could all of a sudden start playing every day. But probably not. It's just the reality. And the thing is, that's what was weird with Lawler is the timing. Why did they call him up now when they didn't have an injury, when they didn't have a need, and there was nowhere to put him? And so guess what? They're not putting him anywhere. He's barely playing. And that was the concern coming in. Now, I say this, it's only been a couple of days and it could change. But here's the thing with Dalton Rushing. I have Dalton Rushing in a couple of leagues stashed, and mainly in my NL only league where, again, just anybody can make the lineup. But where is he going to play? Like, what is there a team that you think, man, if only they had some offense, if they just need to, just a spark, maybe a guy from AAA. It's the Dodgers, right? No, it's not the Dodgers. Like where are they going to put him? And so that's the thing. I'm not going to say, hey, go out and add Rushing everywhere you can, because it might be the same situation. So with those guys, you know what? You got to temper expectations. I was higher on Ballesteros. I say was and still am. So I did add Ballesteros in more leagues, and I'm more optimistic about him. But, his first game, 0-for-4, second game, didn't start. We have to be patient. And that's always the thing. You've got to be in baseball because it is a long season.
It is a long season, but it is hard to be patient. Now let's talk about another prospect, a pitching prospect for the Twins. Zebby Matthews actually did get some time up with the team last year, appeared in 9 games. Didn't go too well. Pitched to a 6.69 ERA, a 1.65 whip. Finished with a 1-4 record. Did have 43 strikeouts in 37 innings at least. So the Twins have been good. Will Zebby Matthews be good this time around?
Well, again, this is how much risk do you want to take on? I want to see it first, at least his first start. Now, I know you're not necessarily going to be able to wait, because if you don't pick him up and then he has a good start, then you're fighting, right? You're fighting for him. So this is why I always say it's always worth stashing a high-end prospect, but it doesn't mean you have to put him in your lineup, especially with a pitcher. So, yeah, Zebby wasn't great last year. And honestly, the thing is this year, even when he started the season at AAA, he wasn't that great at AAA, right? Even in the minors, it's not like he was lighting it up, forcing his way up. He's now getting the call because they tried Festa first. Festa was bad, and now he's got some sort of shoulder issue, but Woods Richardson got optioned, which I guess isn't super surprising. It's not like he was doing anything, forcing himself to stay in the rotation. So fine, give Zebby a chance. So if you're in a deep enough league, you could stash him, but I'm not going to take a chance starting him for his first start. So let's see how he looks, because he he has the stuff, but I feel like he might be a player who it's going to be a process, a developmental process. You know what I mean? And I was too optimistic on Festa. In retrospect, it's easy to say, right? I was a little too optimistic on him, and I liked Festa better than Zebi. So take that for what it's worth.
All right, take that for what it's worth. And speaking of the Twins, Byron Buxton, who's been red hot this year, injured today, a collision with Carlos Correa. Not sure the severity yet. I know you had him on the sell high, not expecting an injury, of course, but he did a homer. I mean, he hit another homer before he got hurt. He just keeps chugging along. You're still selling high on Byron Buxton. And is there even a sell high window now that he's hurt?
Yeah, it's like bad good timing. Look, I like Byron Buxton. I like the player. I feel bad for anybody who has those constant injuries. You know what I mean? No, you don't want wish injury on anyone, even if they're your most hated rival team. But it's just funny in a sad way. But I did actually. That's exactly why I said to sell high on him. Word for word, I said he's going to get injured at some point, and it was 24 hours later. Actually, it was like 10 hours later. So I can't claim responsibility for this. I can always tell you, look, trends, right? What happens? Did we know Mike Trout was going to go in the IL in the first half of this year? Yes, we did. You can't say, oh, you can't predict injury. No, but you can have a pretty good guess when a guy repeatedly gets injured over and over and over and over again. Like, it was going to happen. Like, it was weird the way it happened, but so are the other ways Buxton got hurt. Crashing into a wall, diving, and there's always something. You see what I mean? So it's like he was going to get hurt. I wish that the sell high video came out a couple days before he got hurt, but here we go. This is exactly why you sell when you can.
All right. Well, yep. Maybe there's still a sell window because, he has been red hot this year. So maybe try to sell him if you still can. All right. We're here, of course, to help you with your fantasy teams, with your questions. But let me first remind you, whether you play fantasy, obviously you play fantasy baseball, but if you're looking for another fix for your fantasy baseball fix, or you're ready to jump into fantasy football drafts, or maybe you're into the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, golf, esports, whatever, go to underdogfantasy.com. You see it scrolling right there. Use that promo code ENDGAME because you're going to get a free pick that you can use. Of course, they have baseball picks every day of the year because, every day the baseball season's going, which is almost every day of the year. But as you see, you're also going to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash to get those picks in that you can use right now. Just make sure you use promo code ENDGAME when you do join Underdog Fantasy. And I got to remind you, we will answer as many questions as we can tonight. But if you're impatient, you don't want to wait in line, or you just want to say thanks for all the hard work Pierre puts into the channel, you could drop that super chat and that will boost you to the front of the line. Not a necessity, but, we're thankful for them if you feel like doing that. And again, if you are impatient and don't want to wait in line, that will get you to the front of the line. All right, are you ready? I feel like we already have hard-hitting questions coming right from the start. Starting with Michael, he's got a couple. Let's start with this one. In a points league, who do you prefer rest of the season, Stephen Kwan or Seiya Suzuki?
That's coming swinging out of the gate, man. Generally speaking, I like Suzuki better. Points league is where it gets tricky because Kwan, he doesn't strike out very much. He will definitely accumulate more plate appearances over the course of the season. He's actually shown a little bit more power so far early this season. So, Kwan is your safer bet, right? He's definitely going to produce in a points league. And, I don't like to play it safe. So I'm going to say Suzuki.
All right. And then how about this one? Aaron Nola. Are we buying low on Aaron Nola, the same guy who just went against the mighty Cardinals lineup? 3 2/3 innings, 9 earned runs, 3 home runs, 12 hits. I don't even know. What was his whip in that game? Like 20? He did strike out 2, so at least there's that. He's got a 6.16 ERA on the season. Is Aaron Nola just cooked? Or are we buying low?
He's had bad starts before. this might be the worst of all. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. So I'm still buying low. There doesn't seem to be anything physically wrong with him. Now, again, you know how this goes, because just last week I said that about Bryce Miller. And he went on the IL. But Bryce Miller actually said earlier, like, I'm kind of sore in the shoulder, but I'll be fine. All right, well, obviously not fine. Aaron Nola, his velocity isn't down. He hasn't complained that I've heard anything about an injury. He seems fine. Now is probably the best time to buy low, because he was already struggling. And now after this, people are going to be ready to just unload him, right? People are be like panic sell, right? So like when the market starts crashing, like get rid of it, get rid of my shares before I get nothing. So I'm still buying low. And in fact, on the sell high video, I talked about guys like Tyler Mahle, who has been great, but he's not going to keep it up. And Chris Bassett, who is fine, but fine doesn't win your league. If I can get Aaron Nola for them, I'm doing it.
All right. I guess he's still a buy low. And then one more for Michael. Would you trade Brian Reynolds and Devin Williams for either Brandon Nimmo or Nico Horner?
I mean, I know like those two guys you mentioned at first have been bad this year, but I don't feel like you're getting enough back. So I would rather just hold and see if they turn it around. Nimmo and Horner, again, those are not needle movers.
All right. Thank you, Michael. All right. Let's go to Tyler Durden. He's got Heston Kjerstad, but he wants to know, got him in a keeper league. Is he a bust? Currently batting .208, 4 home runs, 14 RBIs, 11 runs, 31 strikeouts. So, in a keeper league, what are you doing with him?
He is looking a little busty these days. It's still early, right? It's kind of early to just declare a guy who's finally, really getting his first prolonged chance to be in the everyday lineup, except against lefties. So I'm not going to drop him in a keeper league yet. I think it's too soon. If you can afford to just keep him on the bench and just wait and see, I would rather give him a little bit more time to turn things around. Remember, it's still just May. It's a long season. Guy's super talented. At some point, if he puts together a hot streak, you'll want him. So I'd rather wait.
All right. Thank you for that, Tyler, as always. All right. Let's go to Ryan. Yu Darvish. Are you stashing him if you got a spot, an IL spot?
I am. I love this because my favorite questions are always the one where you're asking the question that I'm about to answer in the video that comes out tomorrow. So the waiver wire video, I'm going to talk about Yu Darvish. He's not ready yet because it's going to take a couple of weeks, throwing and rehab starts, etc. But if you're going to stash him, you got to stash him before that happens, right? Because otherwise everyone else is going to know. So yeah, I think he's worth it. He's not going to be what he used to be. He obviously hasn't been the last couple of years, but he's still got enough in the tank, I think, that he's worth it.
All right, and he's got another one. What are your thoughts on Kevin Gausman? Gausman was off to a good start, but 4 of his last 5 starts, he's given up 3 earned runs or more. 2 of those starts, he's given up 6 earned runs. He did have that one nice start against the Guardians. So where are we at with Kevin Gausman right now, whose ERA is suddenly up to 4.59 on the season?
Yeah, he was looking really solid until this last start. I think he can turn it back around. I mean, again, there's no specific reason to think that he will continue to struggle. What I still like is the control is excellent. I mean, the one thing he hasn't done is walk guys at all. But, I think the downside is he's getting a little bit too much of the strike zone. What happened last time while he got hit so hard, he gave up 3 home runs in one game. So I think if he just kind of reins it back in, and, pitches a little more carefully, I think he will be fine. So I'm holding.
All right, holding there. And then Andrea just dropping in to say hi. What's up, Andrea? She's thrashing me in our endgame league right now. Her team is going off against me.
By the way, can I say one thing about Andrea? Like, because this, right? In our league, our endgame league, where it's all these people who are watching. The bad thing is everybody already knows who to pick up because they're watching the same videos. We're all picking up the same players, right? She had stashed Hunter Barco, who I didn't think anybody had stashed. And I was like, beat the breakout, and this is a player like, that was like my download pick. Like, all right, here's a high-end prospect maybe you don't know. And I go and I look, and she's already got him. Like, I know she didn't do it because I said it, because she did it before the video even came out. So she's on top of things. I know that.
Yeah, I'll say the league is infinitely tougher this year.
Yes.
I stream pitchers. I go to look for guys that are like 5% rostered, and they're already on rosters. I'm like, how is this guy on somebody's team already? Like, how can I not just stream this guy? It's been tough. It also doesn't hurt that half my hitters are on IL right now. That's kind of frustrating.
No, but like this week, we even going deeper. The 2-star streamers, I mentioned 9 guys. All of them were already taken. Every single one was already owned in our league. It's like, what?
It's crazy. It's tough. It's tough stuff out there in those streets. All right, Dylan, what's up? Wants to know Ryan Weathers. Okay, I considered Ryan Weathers in his first start against the Cubs, but I, like you, Dylan, could not pull the trigger against the Cubs. But he looked great. 5 innings, only gave up 1 earned run, which was a solo shot. Struck out 5 batters. So he faces the Cubs again. Did we pull the trigger this time?
Dylan, same here. I have Weathers in like 3-4 different leagues and start him anywhere. Like, no, against the Cubs, first start of the season, no. So this is why Ryan Weathers was a sleeper. This is why he was, on the waiver wire video a week ago. I'll say this too. I'm not going to talk about this week because I already said last week to pick him up. It's too late now. So, yep, just start him. And I mean, if he can do that against the Cubs, why can't he do it again?
And he also wants to know, Devin Williams, are we even still holding this guy? I mean, he's been terrible. What are we doing here?
Yeah. I mean, it depends how deep your league is and the format. If it's like a points league, okay, you can drop him. If it's 10-team or more shallow, you could drop him. But again, this guy has been one of the best closers in the majors, and it's still only May, so I like to not drop if I can afford to wait.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Dylan. And then we go from Dylan to Doyle. Would you rather Dansby Swanson or Kyle Stowers?
I'd like to say Stowers, but I think Swanson's the better answer here. Swanson is showing the power. Stowers is hitting for more average. I think that'll continue, but Swanson can still swipe some bags. He's just in the much better offense. I think the run and RBI production he'll give you will still outshine Stowers. Plus, he's an infielder, not an outfielder. So overall, these guys might wind up with similar statistics at the end of the year, but I think you still have to lean towards Swanson.
All right. Thank you, Doyle. And then we got Hop. What's up, Hop? He was offered Lawrence Butler for Isaac Paredes. He's got Jose Ramirez, Tyler Soderstrom, and Vinny P. You taking this deal?
Give me Lawrence Butler. Yeah, Lawrence Butler. I still like Paredes to bounce back and be a solid producer, but he's not stealing any bases like Butler will. And Butler, even though he's not doing what a lot of people wanted to, based on where he was drafted, I still think the upside is higher. So if you're getting Butler here and you already have those guys at corner infield, yeah, take Butler.
All right. Thank you, Hop. Then we got Carl here. What's up, Carl? Thank you. He's got a question, but I don't think he's asking the question right. He's asking, is Royce Lewis going to be a stud? But I think the right question to ask is Royce Lewis going to actually finish the season?
Right. For how long can he be a stud?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. How many games of Royce Lewis do we get?
I mean, Royce Lewis is the new Byron Buxton, isn't he? I'm still willing to bet on Lewis, and how many times, right? How many IL stints before you say it's not just bad luck? But he can be in stretches. Look, as long as you don't, pin all your hopes on him being your starting third baseman the rest of the season, and you have a backup plan. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely worth rostering and we're starting for sure.
All right. Thanks, Carl. Good to see you. All right. We got Ethan. Thoughts on Logan Henderson and AJ Smith-Sauver. Again, I was going to stream AJ Smith-Sauver today, who had a great outing, but he wasn't available. How is AJ Smith-Sauver not available? Anyways, yeah, it was another good start for AJ. Picked up Henderson for his Cleveland start, and he did really good. So, thoughts on these guys?
Like them both. I like Henderson actually a little bit better. Henderson was great in the minors before they brought him up. Finally, he might have a chance to stick. And Quintana being in the IL makes him a strong add. We know he's going to get one more start. There's nothing promised after that. But look, if he has another start, that like either of his first two, honestly, how can they justify sending him down? So I'm picking up Henderson if I can. And I think Smith-Sauver is right behind him.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Ethan. And then we got a super chat from Tristram. Doesn't have a question. What's up, Tristram? Just saying hello and thank you. Appreciate that very, very much. Thank you, Tristram. Always here, loyal viewer and contributor. All right, Ryan's got another one. Blake Snell just sitting out there in free agency. Are you stashing Snell?
If you have an empty IL spot, it never hurts to stash an injured guy, but just know he might be sitting and occupying that spot for a while. So, I wouldn't drop a good player in order to make a move to move someone else off the IL. Like you're saying, you have an empty IL spot. Sure. Just know Blake Snell is not anywhere close to pitching yet. So you're going to have to be patient here.
All right, then let's skip ahead a little bit to Requiem for a Dream. Back to Aaron Nola. Are we dropping Aaron Nola?
No, I'm not dropping him. Bench him, but you don't have to drop him. I know he's hurt you in places that you don't need to discuss, but let's not be too hasty, because what would hurt more is dropping him and then a couple of weeks from now seeing him look like Aaron Nola, all-star Aaron Nola.
All right, Ryan's got a couple more. My boy Shea Langoliers or Keibert Ruiz?
Easily Langoliers here. Easily.
All right, and then what about Jorge Polanco, who destroyed me 2 weeks ago for a team that's not even set in their lineup, or Xander Bogaerts?
I want to say easily, maybe not as easily, but I'm definitely going Polanco. I mean, I called Bogaerts a drop a couple of weeks ago. He made the cut list, so I'm fine not having him on my roster. I still think I'm going to go Polanco.
All right, thank you. And then it's football season, I guess, because Ocho Cinco on the stream. He's got to cut one of these guys. Kerry Carpenter, Kyle Stowers, or Austin Hayes. Who are you cutting?
Well, I like Hayes still, but I'm going to make him the cut because Stowers, I think, has the staying power at the top of that order. And Carpenter, the only thing with Carpenter, he's not always going to play every single day. He'll sit, he just destroys righties, but not so much lefties. But when he's on, he's on. So if you have to cut one, it's Hayes.
All right. Thank you for that. And then let's go back to Lawler, everybody's favorite hype train right now. Mark wants to know Lawler or stick with Trevor Story at middle infielder.
I think you should stick with Story. I know it's hard right now, but we can't let the recency bias get the best of us. Story was looking like an all-star for the first 3-4 weeks of the season, and now he's looking like he should be on the bench. Guess what's going to happen? He'll go back to mashing again, and then we'll say, why did we drop him? Lawler, I just don't see him getting. Where are the at-bats going to come from? I just don't see it yet. I'm going to stick with Story.
All right, thank you. And then we got Mr. Waking Up. What's up? Welcome back. Traded Clay Holmes and Christian Yelich for Michael Harris. Activated Kershaw, Holmes innings limit, Yelich struggles, Harris trending. All right, what are your thoughts here?
Innings limit, I'm not going to worry too much about Holmes hitting a limit because sometimes that gets a little overblown, right? I mean, look, how many pitchers go 200 innings anyways? There's not that many, a small handful. And even if you say, okay, 180, that's the desirable number. Still not a lot of guys who get to that either. If they can go to 150, think about Garrett Crochet last year, right? Had his innings chopped. That's not the same situation. It is not. That was a weird situation, right? If Holmes gets you 150 innings, what he's doing, you should be happy with it. I wouldn't trade him just because I'm worried about that. Yelich struggles, not surprising. Yelich is what he is at this point. The back could always crop up. He's just not the same power hitter he was at his prime because he's not in his prime age. Like, he just isn't. So he will give you some steals. He'll give you some power. He'll be good, but not great. That said, I don't think Michael Harris is giving you much more than Yelich is. And so if you're talking about Holmes plus Yelich straight up for Michael Harris, I would prefer the Holmes Yelich side, I think. It's not a bad trade. I'm not saying it's a fleece or like it's lopsided or anything, but maybe I'm just still not as high on Michael Harris's ceiling as some other people. But I need to see it. Like, what is his ceiling? Is he going to be a 30-30 guy? I don't think so.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Waking Up. All right, Chris. What's up, Chris? I like you already. All right. You dropping Brian Reynolds to pick up Jacob Wilson, the hitting machine.
Like, Jacob Wilson is still not owned everywhere. Yeah, do this.
All right. That was an easy one. Then Uwe 2K. Yeah. How's the bomb squad? Ellie is definitely frustrating so far, but he's got 2 home runs this week. The bomb squad has come along. The problem with the bomb squad is all the bombs are on IL right now, but my team's been hitting the ball great the last few weeks, and I keep losing. I just run into like teams hitting slightly better. It's like my team bats like 280 or 290, and I lose batting average. I hit like 13, 14 home runs, and I lose home runs. I'm like, how is this happening? But the bomb squad is coming along. We'll see. I think I'm like 7th place, but I'm going to drop after this week because Andrea's thrashing me. All right. Ryan wants to know, traded away Betts and Kyle Finnegan, or should he trade away Betts and Kyle Finnegan for Jackson Merrill and Luis Garcia in a head-to-head categories league?
This one I'm going to think about. Betts and Merrill, you're looking at really pretty comparable players. I mean, obviously Merrill's not going to hit 460 the rest of the year, right? But he's not far off from Mookie Betts these days. So if we say that's close, if not a wash, a closer for a second baseman, if it's a categories league, I really think having that closer is a little bit more valuable. Luis Garcia is fine, but I think he's replaceable. I think it's harder to replace a guy who is probably going to get you like 40 saves this year. So I would still prefer the Betts Finnegan side.
All right. Thank you for that, Brian. And we got another super chat from Ray Jr., but I'm not sure what he's saying here. Kershaw versus Detroit's Mize? See if I can find something else here from him.
Asking, like, who would you rather roster? Is that the question?
Maybe that's what he's asking.
Well, okay, the Clayton Kershaw issue is going to have to get addressed, right? So he's coming back. He's going to start. He hasn't actually pitched, for the Dodgers in a while because that's just where he's at. You already know where this is going. We talked about Trout, talked about Buxton, talk about if he starts, how many innings is he throwing? Honestly, what is the max? What can we expect from Kershaw? 5, I think, is best case scenario. 5 innings. Even for the Dodgers, you're going to have limited opportunities for wins because of pitch count. The chance that he feels something, he tweaks something. Just give me Mize. I don't want to deal with it. Like, honestly, I just don't want to deal with it. But it's not only that I don't want to deal with a guy who might get hurt. It's also, let's be realistic about what the ceiling is. It's just not there anymore. Give me Mize.
All right. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate that very much. All right. Austin wants to know, what are your thoughts or what do you think of Colt Keith?
I have conflicting thoughts about Colt Keith. Now, I was a borderline Colt Keith truther before the season, and I liked Colt Keith a lot because even though I know he's a streaky hitter, I don't mind that if I can bench him during the cold streaks and I take advantage during the hot streaks. And I'm not sure as of right now if he's really going to get as hot as I wanted him to, because I have him in some leagues. Like he's one of those guys like I pick up and I drop and I pick up and I drop, and it's like I want to believe, but then it's like I know I probably am too overly optimistic. So I actually had earlier this week planned to talk about him as a waiver wire pickup, and then I pulled the plug on him. So I'm like, no, we can do better. So I think he's just a risky streamer basically at this point.
All right, there are his thoughts. What about Adley Rutschman? Are you buying low on Adley Rutschman, who's batting a cool 200 with 4 home runs, 24 strikeouts, 28 hits? Man, 28 hits, 28. That's it.
If you want to know if I'm still buying low, yes, because I talked about him as a buy low 2 weeks ago. I'm still buying low. He's going to get better. Low though.
All right. And then Doyle wants to know, which disappointment do you want? Marcus Semien or Mark Vientos?
Should you drop Semien? Yes. For Vientos, sure. That's fine.
All right. It's fine. Then how about this one again from Requiem for a Dream? He's got Olsen, Walker, or he wants to know Olsen, Walker, or Gonsolin in head categories league. But am I reading this right? The categories are win, loss, strikeout, and quality start. Those are the categories? Am I reading that right?
Well, I mean, it's possible. I'm in some leagues where losses count as a category, and you could do wins and quality starts. But yeah, I'm assuming ERA and WHIP are also somewhere in there. But so I don't think that makes a huge difference. I mean, obviously, the Dodgers pitcher gets the edge for wins and losses. I'll still put Waka last here. I'll probably go Gonsolin, Olsen, Waka.
All right. Thank you for that. And then we got Ricardo R. Talked about Brian Reynolds a little bit earlier. Would you be patient with him? He could get like Sam Frelick, Cedric Mullins, Kyle Stowers, Gurriel, Burleson. These guys are on waivers. You dropping Reynolds for any of those guys?
Sorry, I'm not gonna lie. I'm distracted by the avatar. It's like it's like a hybrid of Jim Morrison and Frank Zappa, like put together.
Yes, I know. I was like trying to figure that out. I'm like, it looks like Jim Morrison, but it doesn't look like. I mean, it's like Jim Morrison pose, but that's not Jim Morrison. I don't know.
Maybe that's Ricardo took a selfie like Jim Morrison posed. Anyways.
Maybe.
Okay, so would I be patient with Brian Reynolds? No, I have no patience for Brian Reynolds. I'd go Stowers.
All right, go Stowers. And then Uwe2K wants to know who's a better ad in head-to-head categories, Nootbaar or Stowers? A lot of Stowers questions.
Yeah, I'm a believer. I'm buying into Stowers, not just because he's a Marlin, but look, this was a high-end prospect for the Orioles. I honestly think in another year or two, we're going to look back and say, man, the Orioles really screwed up. Like the prospects they traded versus the ones they kept, it seems like they might have gotten it wrong. But anyways, yeah, I like Stowers.
All right, and then we got another one from Ray Jr. coming with the tough questions. What upcoming Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher is better? What does that mean? Like,
are you okay? Now I remember. I think Ray asked a very specific Pittsburgh Pirates question last time too. So being a Pirates fan, when you say upcoming pitcher, Ray, and again, you don't have to super chat. You can just put it in the regular chat if you're asking. I'm assuming you mean when you say up and coming, like a prospect. Okay, so I mentioned Hunter Barco earlier. So obviously Bubba Chandler's still number one. Like he's a guy who everybody should be trying to stash, not just Pirates fans. So Bubba Chandler first and foremost, and then I'm going with Barco second. Harrington, I think he's fine. He might be fine, but Braxton Ashcraft is really more interesting. Beyond that, I don't know. You can expect too much more from young Pirates pitchers. As far as existing Pirates pitchers, I mean, kind of is what it is, right? The guys they got are not super exciting after Paul Skeens. So, I hope that answers your question.
All right. Hopefully. Thank you again, Ray. We appreciate it. All right, V-Rush. We talked about Zebby Matthews in the intro a little bit. Are you rostering him across all leagues?
No, not all leagues. Again, you got space to stash and, wait and see. Yeah, he's a guy I need to see how he does his first start, maybe two, before I'm really trusting him. All
right. And then Anthony, what's up? We did not discuss it, but he wants to know what you think of Cade Horton, a guy I was thinking about streaming tomorrow. How is anybody in our league thinking about Cade Horton? Got like 2% rostered right now. Now I might have to go add him right this second. Anyways, what do you think about Cade Horton?
Well, depending on what I say right now, Anthony might be the one to go pick him up before anyone else can. So, I was a little disappointed in the fact that they used an opener for him in his very first appearance. That's kind of annoying. But I understand why they did it. I mean, you say, well, it's smart, right? He avoided because he played the Mets that game. He didn't have to face in his very first taste of the majors Lindor and Alonso, and those guys, and Soto. Okay, so that's smart. They've got to let him go a little bit longer, but we've seen with Ben Brown, who's been around and in the rotation since last year, he doesn't go very deep into games. So again, got to temper expectations. If you're in a quality starts league, yeah, I wouldn't count on any quality starts anytime soon. So that limits his upside there. Wins could happen, but again, you got to pitch deep enough still to even get the win. I love the strikeout potential. That's definitely there. He's a rookie pitcher, so you already know it's going to be a roller coaster ride.
Yes, it will. All right, and before I even put this one up, the answer, Requiem for a Dream, is already yes. The answer is yes. Is it worth trading for Jake Burger to get him on my team with Witt and Fry for the sole purpose to rename my team to Burger Witt Fry? That's a yes. It's a yes.
That's an automatic yes.
Even if it makes your team worse, it actually makes your team better. All right, Ray with another one. Chandler or York?
All right. Well, I guess I'm glad I happen to be wearing black and yellow. I talked about York. Actually, I like York a lot, but they haven't really given him a shot. I feel like they could. They don't really have a whole lot at first base, and they've been playing him even though he's a second baseman. There could have been a path early in the season, but they have Matt Gorski there. But York, I know he got injured early on. I still like York long term, but again, this year probably don't expect too much. Chandler by far.
Are you ready for another Stowers question?
Mm-hmm.
Baez or Stowers rest of the season? It's from Banco Stacks.
Yeah, I don't want to be a hater. Javi Baez, good for him, but come on. It's been a good week. Enjoy the memories, soak it in. Rest of the season, give me Stowers.
All right, then another one from him. Put him in order. Reese Olson, Ryan Pepio, Zebby Matthews, Logan Henderson.
I still like Pepio. I actually held on to him after you dropped him. I scooped him up.
Yes.
He's got a couple of quality starts in a row. That schedule will get better for them. They're not going to be at home as much. So I'm going to go Pepio. I will be optimistic and say Logan Henderson second, and then Olson, and then Zebby.
All right, thank you. Then another one from Ryan wants to know, what about stashing Brandon Woodruff on IL? Apparently he's got a zillion IL spots on his team.
Yeah. Man, this guy, I'm too nervous here with Woodruff. He's missed so much time, but also you always hate when a guy is ready to come back and then it has a setback. That makes me think he's just, even when he gets called up, the readiness and the risk factor. So I'm not going to make a point of stashing Woodruff.
All right, and then V-Rush again. Will Rhett Lauder get called up when he's eligible? What do you think?
I think so. I mean, he was in the rotation last year and, uneven results. Rookie pitcher, of course. But I still think he's probably got more upside than some of the other pitchers they're trying out. I mean, Chase Petty, great stuff. Not ready, right? He got lit up twice. So I think Louder does join the rotation.
All right. And then T Bronco. This is an interesting one. It's got Luke Weaver and Jose Alvarado. It's got space for one. But Devin Williams and the suddenly unstoppable, unhittable Jordan Romano, who I just picked up, who's gone, 6 straight scoreless innings, I think, and 2 straight saves. Is he back? Who are you picking up here? Or are you just keeping Weaver and Alvarado?
Well, I would just say this. I'd rather have the Yankees duo than the Phillies duo. So at least if I know I got Weaver and Williams, I've got the Yankees closer, and they're honestly the more talented of the two. I still worry that Romano will, turn back to dust. So I'm going to go Williams.
All right, go Williams. I went Romano. We'll see what happens. Yes, I actually picked up I actually have 3. I think I have 3 closers. I can't tell if Vest is a closer. I don't understand what Detroit does with their rotation there. Maybe I should drop it. All right, talking about Logan Henderson a little bit. Anthony wants to know, is he going to stay in the rotation? Is he worth hanging on to?
Yeah, so Anthony, the short answer at the beginning we said was he's getting one more start for sure. After that, who knows? I mean, we don't really know. He should, and especially if he does well. So I think he's worth hanging on to, and then we'll just have to see what happens in Milwaukee. I mean, we know at least Quintana is on the IL, so there should be a spot for him at least beyond next week. But if he gets tagged, this next time around, then that changes. But I don't think that'll happen.
All right, you ready for another Ray Jr. Pittsburgh Pirates super chat? But this one's cool.
Bring it on.
This one's cool. He's got a Willie Stargell signed autograph on his mantle. That's cool.
That's worth the Willie Stargell, man. Ray, well, you are a true fan. I'll tell you what. Okay, so I'm a Marlins fan because I'm born and raised in Miami, so I have a reason. My favorite team before the Marlins existed was the Braves because they were the closest and they were also on TBS all the time. So that's the only games you get to watch because back then we had something called basic cable, and you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
But my next favorite team was the Pirates because my first Little League team ever, we were the Pirates. So I'm not sure what the point of that was, except that I do like the Pirates. I appreciate the Pirates fandom, even though I've actually never been to Pittsburgh.
All right. And we appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Jacob wants to know, Elliot Ramos, George Springer, or Trent Grisham, rest of the season, who you got? Can't hold them all. If you can only hold one, who are you holding?
I mean, I would say what I just said in yesterday's or 2 days ago video. I can't remember. If you have Trent Grisham, try to sell him just for something right now. Somebody will give you something for him, I would think. If I had to pick one, I like Ramos best of all.
All right. And then Josh Lowe or Jake Berger?
Look, it should be Josh Lowe, right? This should easily be Josh Lowe. I obviously have not given up on the Burgermeister, but I'm also a little leery about Josh Lowe, not just that he's had so many injuries, but remember last year, he also didn't look that great when he played. He wasn't like the year before, which some of us know very well. But, well, Chris, you actually, in your very limited time playing fantasy baseball, you have been wounded by both of these guys. So who's less offensive to you?
Probably. Well, is Berger, has he been recalled yet, or is he back?
He just came back like 2 days ago.
Has he done anything yet? Probably not, huh?
He did. He had a hit, but I think he had 2 RBIs yesterday. He is like 1 for 3, 1 for 3. No home
I
runs.
like Berger's home run potential a little more. I feel like the Texas offense at some point has to get better, right? I'm gonna go Berger.
That's what I've been saying. All right, there you go. You have the stamp of approval, and then all you need is to somehow swing a trade for Bobby Witt somehow, and then add David Fry.
Yep, there you go, David Fry. All right, then Anthony with another one. Nick Lodolo, worth keeping or drop him?
Worth keeping, I think. I think worth keeping. He's even though he's not a rookie, he's the ultimate volatile pitcher. He'll look amazing and terrible all in the same week.
All right, then how about a couple of Yu Darvish questions? JR tokens, slightly different. How would you rank Yu Darvish? And then Uwe2K says rank Darvish, Weathers, Kolek, and Tyler Anderson as ads.
I'm gonna go Weathers first because he was one of my preseason sleeper breakout types. I'm still big on Weathers, and obviously his first start, very encouraging. I think I'll go Darvish next. Tyler Anderson. We know exactly what Tyler Anderson is. He's plug and play if needed. He's break glass in case of emergency. Everyone else has been taken as a 2-star streamer, but Tyler Anderson's still there. I need to see more from Kolek. I'm not fully buying in on him yet.
All right, not yet. And then Todd wants to know, Dynasty, is it time to move on from Brian Reynolds, 12-team Dynasty Points League?
Oh, yeah. And this one is easy. In Dynasty, yes. Look, I've probably the last, 5 years been too low on Brian Reynolds. And look, I'm just going to admit this is personal because he is one of those guys, this happens sometimes, right, with players, has a great season. And so the next year, you're like, oh, I'm going to take him where he should be taken. And then he flops. You're like, all right, fine, I'm out. And the next year, okay, I shouldn't have bought. And he has a great season. And so then the next year, right? Okay, so I'm kind of sick of Brian Reynolds, but also I think we're not going to see stud roto, league. I would say league winner. He's never been a league winner, but I don't think we're going to see prime Brian Reynolds again. So in Dynasty, yes. Move on.
All right, and then Michael with a trade question. Would you trade Jordan Westberg and JP Sears for Luis Arias and Dylan Cruz?
My gut says yes, just because to me Sears is fine, but just fine. And I like Westberg. I mean, obviously he's hurt, but when he comes back, I still like him. But you can't be disappointed with Arias instead of Westberg. And Cruz has been bad, but we know Cruz, if he figures it out, you're going to love having Cruz in your team. I don't think you're ever going to be thrilled having Sears. I think he's just he's fine, but give me upside.
All right, and then we talked on this a little bit. What are your thoughts on Josh Lowe coming off IL?
My thoughts is that he's with Tampa Bay. He's not going to be playing every day just because he's not, and coming off an injury. He's inconsistent. He's got upside, but he might be a little frustrating. So I guess expect frustration.
Okay. And then Rucksack wants to know, Lawrence Butler, is he a buy low or was he overvalued from the start?
Is it possible to say both? I mean, he was definitely overvalued because he's the classic came out of nowhere. And I don't mean nobody ever heard of him, he had no upside, no pedigree, but had never done anything at the major league level. And then all of a sudden was amazing. The classic second half breakout. So he was definitely overvalued. But now I think he might be turning into a buy low because people are disappointed, right? Because he was overvalued. So the expectations have gone from sky high to, oh no, what have I done? So let's meet somewhere in the middle, right? I don't think you can buy him super low because people in May are still clinging a little bit to the ADP and the expectations. But, if you have an impatient owner, you could always try to buy low.
All right, let's get back to Aaron Nola. Carl wants to know, Luis Castillo for Aaron Nola. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Nola.
All right. Short and sweet. Nola it is. And then Michael, do you think Andy Pajas's approach is sustainable?
I do now. He's cut down on his strikeouts over time, gradually, right? He used to be more of a free swinger, a slugger type. I don't see that anymore. He still has the power, but he's not selling out for power. This is why he's starting to hit more for average. So yeah, I definitely think it's sustainable.
All right, then Uwe2K again wants to know, would you drop any of Colin Ray, Michael Liberatore, Michael Waka for Sharver, Weathers, Kolick, or Anderson?
Ray is fine as a streamer, but you don't have to hold him. I would definitely drop Ray for Weathers. I would not drop Liberator. You can hold Waka for now. Waka, I mean, if you're just in a typical, I don't know, Uwe, he's in a pretty shallow league. So, I think with like Waka, start him when he has good matchups. And if it's not a good week for him, then you can flip him, like for Shaver. That's probably actually the only one. So I would just say drop Ray for Weathers.
All right, there you go. All right, Daryl Santana, what's up? Vinny P or Ryan O'Hearn rest of the season head-to-head? Who you got?
Got to go with Vinny P. O'Hearn will be solid. Vinny's got the upside. Vinny's in a better spot to produce runs. He's starting to warm up. So I'm going to go Vinny.
All right. Are you ready for a question from Question? Pierre, do you think Soderstrom keeps up his 30 home run pace all season long?
I do. Tyler Soderstrom was also one of my preseason breakout picks. So this comes as no surprise to me. He's got the power. The A's actually have a pretty good offense. So I definitely think, I'll just say right now, I think he gets to 30. He gets 30 plus.
All right. And then he also wants to know, is Witt for Skubal a fair trade? He gets Skubal, but he's got to give up Witt. ERA, WHIP, and K's wins are dead last in the season-long Roto League.
That's it's fair. I can't say it's not fair. The best pitcher, arguably in all of baseball for, top? I can't say number one because Ohtani and Judge exist, but the number 3 best hitter in all of baseball or whatever. Yeah, this is fair. Just because Witt was drafted before Skubal, it had nothing to do with value and talent. It just has to do with where you can get players and risk, right? Pitchers are just riskier. But yeah, you need pitching help. That's fair. You're not getting robbed here or anything.
All right. And then Tribal says he's got an open spot, needs a pitcher. Cade Horton, who we already talked about, or Logan Henderson. Talked about both these guys. So who are you picking up?
I think I feel better about Logan Henderson right now. I just do. I feel like he might get the longer leash. And honestly, I think part of this, sometimes it comes down to the organization. And I'm not talking wins, losses. Obviously, the Cubs are the better team, objectively in terms of the standings. But I just, some organizations, number one, develop pitchers better, young pitchers, handle them better in the majors, give them more trust, and I just feel much better about Milwaukee and how they handle starters than the Cubs at this point.
All right. Thank you, Travel. And then Jordy wants to know, who would you drop Max Mayer for? Weathers, Canning, Gonsolin, Smith-Shawver, Cade Horton, or Liberatore?
Well, I've been saying generally I'm still giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm keeping Meyer, but if you have those options, it's fine. Liberatore has been really the best out of all of these guys. So he should still probably be the number one. If the breakout is legit.
Also, just going to add, he did say it's a Yahoo Points League. I'm not sure of that.
Okay. Well, you know what? That actually reinforces what I just said. Liberatore is number one because he's been going longer, deeper into games. The only thing with Canning, solid, but he doesn't always go as deep. And Weathers, we don't know how long they're really going to let him go. So, and of course, wins. So I'll go Liberatore is your first choice. If for some reason you miss on him, you could go Gonsolin or Canning.
All right. Thank you for that. And then F, what's up, F? Wants to know, are you dropping Austin Hayes for Josh Lowe? did have a nice game today, apparently.
Yeah, you can do that because Lowe, at least he'll get you steals, and Hayes not so much. So I think this is fine. Hayes had his hot streak. He'll still be good in spurts the rest of the way, but I don't think his ceiling is that of Lowe.
All right, then Austin wants to know, he dropped Nick Kurtz. Did he make a mistake?
It's tough to say because, look, I've been holding on to Kurtz. He did finally get his first home run. So maybe, the hope is this opens the floodgates, right? But a week from now, if we're still talking about Nick Kurtz having one home run, then we're going to say holding him was a mistake because it's just like he's fine, but not really doing anything for you. So I don't think I can say it's a mistake right now. No, but I'm still holding him wherever I have him.
All right, and then Tristram does have a question. How long before Shota Imanaga comes back?
I don't know an exact timeline. It was a hamstring. That can be tricky. For a pitcher, it's going to be a couple of weeks. It's not going to be a minimum IL stint. I know that. So I think 2 weeks is like minimum. Realistically, I would say more like 3 from this point, because it's already been a few days, right? If I had to throw a dart and see where it lands and give you a median timeline, I'd say 3 weeks. But of course, it depends how he responds.
All right. Thank you, Tristram. And then some bad news here, I guess, talking about Hunter Barco. He was removed with an undisclosed injury after 23 pitches.
And that's the risk with young pitchers. It's always the risk. Well, let's see. We'll see once they disclose it, let's see what it is. But hey, you shouldn't be picking him up or stashing him outside of a league where you have an NA spot anyways. So.
All right, then back to Requiem for a Dream wants to know how many live chickens must be sacrificed in order for Christian Walker and Christian Yelich, the two Christians, to hit home runs and bat 250 for him. How many live chickens should he be looking to get?
Well, actually, if you're asking Walker, it could be Jordan Walker, although I doubt it. That's more risky, but Christian Walker I feel better about. Hit 250 and hit home runs. Christian Walker's coming around. I think right now maybe like a 3 chicken minimum.
All right, three chickens. Go get 3 live chickens. All right, you ready for another Stowers question? Doyle. Stowers over Ian Happ, who disappointingly went on IL, but man, he's been good this year.
Well, look, there's actually very similar profiles offensively. Stowers is the new Happ. Yeah, maybe he is. Happ obviously on the much better offense, so I can't say Stowers over Happ rest of the season. But right now, yeah, Happ's not doing you any good. So I guess you're asking this, maybe you don't have an IL spot, like you can't stash Happ. I'd rather keep Happ if I could, but if you can't, I'm okay with this.
All right, and then Ethan wants to know, would you drop Shane Smith for Ryan Weathers?
Well, problem with Shane Smith, I think we all know the problem with Shane Smith is he's on the White Sox. Not getting you wins, and he's not getting too many quality starts. So I think you can do this because also Shane Smith isn't getting you a ton of strikeouts. Weathers is not going to be a strikeout machine. I think 25% K rate is probably reasonable to expect. I don't know if Shane Smith's going to get there. So it's close between these guys, but yeah, I think you can do this.
All right, and then Jesse says Devin Williams and Ryan Walker are stinking up his 6-1 team's bullpen, trying to hang in there. Are you waiting on these guys, or is it time to cut bait?
I only have Ryan Walker in one of my, I don't know what it is now, dozen leagues. Now that Tris somehow got me to join another one. I have him only in one league because I really didn't want Ryan Walker in more than one league. And in that one league, I'm regretting having Ryan Walker. I think you can drop him. I don't want to drop Devin Williams yet.
All right. Thank you for that. And then Tristan wants to know why I dropped Ryan Pepio. Well, number one, I'm not very good at fantasy baseball. Number two, he was horrible to start the season. He was getting rocked every time I started this guy. And I'm like, I drafted him with like my 11th or 12th pick or something. I'm like, I don't need this guy. Move on from this guy.
Chris's philosophy, he said it from the beginning. Like before the draft even started, you're like, I'm going to only draft pitchers that I am okay cutting.
Yeah.
And you're held true to that like you do. You're a man of your word.
I mean, he started great. The first start was great. I was like, man, I did a great job here. And then he did okay against the Pirates, but then he got like rocked by the Angels, rocked by the Red Sox, rocked by the Yankees. I'm like, okay, I can't keep starting this guy and just having him crush my ratios, not getting me quality starts.
Right.
So, he's not the worst player I've ever dropped. All right. Moonrock. Yainier Diaz or Michael Toglia on base percentage. I guess rest of the season, who you like?
I'm definitely going Diaz here. I still believe in Diaz. He's turning it around. He's getting better for sure. In an on-base league, definitely Diaz.
All right, then Rucksack. This is one I'm kind of curious about too, because I also have Shane McClanahan on my IL because I picked him up right at the start of the season and said, okay, well, I'll add him. But now he's been moved to the 60-day IL. Is he even worth still holding on to?
I'm getting more nervous about McClanahan because still feeling soreness. I mean, I don't know when we're going to see him. So I'll just say what I can, honestly, the only league where I have McClanahan somehow, I don't know why it worked out this way, but is in my NFBC leagues. And those are 15 teamers. And there are no IL spots. There's none. You just have to clog up a bench spot. But the waiver wire is so much thinner. It's like you have a guy with that talent, you don't want to drop him, right? Because then I have to fight to get him back. I'm going to have to bid. But now I'm like, maybe this guy's just going to clog up my bench, until August. And then is it worth holding on to him? Probably not. So I don't think, again, it always depends. If you need that spot for somebody else who is clearly worth holding on to, I think right now might be the time to drop him. If you got a spot and you don't need to worry about it and you can just keep him there, fine, keep him there and forget about him until July, then see what happens. But yeah, what I've heard lately, it makes me a lot less optimistic about McClanahan.
Yeah, not feeling too good. But I might need the IL spot soon with all my hitters on going to IL every day. I like Corey Seager comes back, hits 2 home runs, and they're like, nah, he's got to go back on IL. I'm like, what? The guy hit 2 home runs. What do you mean he's got to go back on IL?
Corey Seager, if you have Corey Seager, you always need to keep one IL spot open just for him.
Yeah, I mean, he literally was like he was out for like 4 games, came back, smashed 2 home runs. I'm like, and then like the next day, they're like, they scratched him from the lineup and put him on the IL. I'm like, what? Did he get hurt? Did he get jogging around the bases? How did this guy get hurt?
He overexerted himself. He's like almost like, well, this is going to sound probably too harsh. He's almost like the Joel Embiid of Major League Baseball.
Oh man, that does make me feel good. All right, Andrew wants to know NL only league. Michael McGreevy. I don't know. I question mark.
I don't think so. I don't feel like there's enough of a ceiling for McGreevy. Like he's fine, but give me Logan Henderson instead.
All right, and then Requiem on another one. He's got Hoffman, Jansen, and Hodge. He wants to know, should he keep them or boot them for the hurt they put on him and pick up a bunch of setup holds guys?
Well, you know what? If holds and saves are both categories here, I think that's fine to do. Yeah, Hodge, again, sometimes you're in on a guy and then you look a little like you see him actually play. Like I've seen Porter Hodge this last week pitch a couple of times. I'm like, maybe not. Like, I don't know. Just didn't give me good vibes. I'm fine dropping Hodge. I don't know what the Cubs are going to do, man. They're probably one of those teams that's going to make a deal at the deadline to patch up that bullpen. If they want to be contenders, they're going to need to. But anyways, I think Jansen's fine. He's still okay. I would hold Jansen. I mean, I don't know if you want to straight up drop Hoffman, although you might just be safer with Yimi Garcia. And Yeah, I think actually you can drop Hodge because it's not like he was getting a ton of hold even before Presley imploded. So boot Hodge, keep Jansen, Hoffman. It depends who else you could pick up.
All right, thank you as always. And then Heimer from Dominican Republic, what's up? How about Matt Brash for holds and Yuri Perez? Are they worth stashing?
In a holds league, yeah, I love Matt Brash. Really under the radar because people forgot about him since he didn't pitch for a whole year. Still, one of the most talented, hard throwing relievers that you'll find out there. So, in a holds league, definitely picking up Matt Brash. Yuri Perez, we're probably not going to see him. I think the last I heard was late June. I know some people are like, oh, maybe mid-June. Realistically, before he actually throws more than 3 innings, let's say late June. So I haven't talked about Yuri yet. I'm kind of trying to wait because I don't want to stash him for a whole month or month and a half for nothing. So I think it's too soon to stash Yuri Perez, but eventually he might be worth it.
All right, and then another one from Ryan. Thoughts on Juan Soto, Cody Bellinger, and Wyatt Langfield as his outfield in a 10-teamer?
Can't do much better. I mean, I know you got some mixed feelings on Cody Bellinger, but I'm still buying low on him. I think he's going to be fine. I mean, it's hard to do much better than Juan Soto and Wyatt Langford. I know statistically they aren't, up there yet, but I think we can give Soto the benefit of the doubt. And I still think Langford can break out. So you're fine. You don't need to do anything here.
All right, Uwe2K, are we worried about Alvarado or Klaus?
When have we not been worried about Clase? He's been bad, but he still got the job. The Cade Smith hype has died down. So I'm less worried. And then Alvarado, I'm not worried about him, really. He was never going to be the guy, right? They got Romano to be the guy, and then Romano was so bad, he couldn't have, that closer job. And maybe now he's got it back. So I'm not worried about Alvarado. I mean, he's still a good reliever. Am I worried about him getting you saves the rest of the season? Well, yeah. But I don't think he's going to hurt you otherwise. He's fine to hold on to. And look, sorry, I have to say it. I wouldn't be shocked if Jordan Romano comes out there one day and serves up a 3-run home run and, looks done again. So.
Wouldn't shock me either, but that's when I drop them.
Right.
Until then, keep giving me these scoreless innings. All right. Fitted in 790. What's up? Drop Jack Leiter to pick up Corey Mize?
Absolutely. And I'm still a fan of Jack Leiter, but I'd be more of a fan if he did better. But yeah, pick up Mize.
All right. And then T Bronco with the follow-up. Would you drop Kenley Jansen for either Devin Williams or Jordan Romano? Guessing not Jordan Romano.
No. Not Romano. No, I'm not out on Jansen yet. I know he's not what he used to be. Obviously, he's not the same guy. But what else? Really, who else do they have? I mean, they're gonna go away for him for what? Ben Joyce was the guy I thought might be the threat. Well, Ben Joyce's season is over, so he's clearly not a threat anymore. Who else do they have? Jansen, unless he is, long-term injured, is still going to be the guy. I think he'll be fine. So I would say, no, don't drop Jansen unless you really, really have a compelling reason to. Because how many saves is Williams going to get you these days? Not too many.
All right, and then Alyssa, Dolphin Cloud, we kind of answered this. Outfield is weak. She can pick up Ramos, Grisham, or Springer. We had the same exact question earlier. Who are you picking up?
And I see why you need somebody because you got Byron Buxton. I'm going with Ramos. He's my pick here. But, man, these guys she's saying pick up. So they're all just on waivers. This got to be pretty shallow league. So, yeah, sorry, not buying into Grisham. I'll pick up Ramos.
All right, and then Mr. waking up with another trade. He acquired Acuna for Robbie Ray, Bryson Stott, and Iglesias in a 10-team points league. What do you think?
Well done. I'm surprised somebody did that. Now, look, I've been on record saying, and I'll probably keep saying, you're not going to get obviously, you're not going to get the same Ronald Acuna because, coming off another ACL injury does things to a guy. But they have made it clear he's not going to run nearly as much, which is smart. So don't expect a ton of steals, right? But that said, he's still going to be one of the best pure hitters in the entire universe. So, yeah, I'm going to take the superior talent, especially in a shallow league. I mean, a 10-team league, Bryce Stott is borderline not even needing to be rostered.
All right, and then another one from Rucksack. Mikael Garcia or Connor Norby rest the season?
This is honestly probably the toughest one we've gotten tonight. Okay, so I guess no, like I was about to go in some long drawn out metaphor. Look, Norby is safe. Garcia is volatile. Garcia will get you more steals. Norby should hit probably for average more. I think Garcia has the higher ceiling and gets the edge.
All right. Go with Garcia. And then TRC 41476 ranked the following in a 6x6 Roto League: Smith Sharver, Nick Martinez, Logan Henderson.
I mean, it's really tough to say what we do with Logan Henderson. If I assume Logan Henderson stays in the rotation, then I would put him first, actually. And then Smith Schaver, and then Nick Martinez. Nick Martinez is a streamer. He's fine. That's it.
All right, then Michael, back to Aaron Nola. What's the panic level on Aaron Nola right now?
Okay, it's a little higher than it was a week or two ago. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. But again, I don't see a compelling reason to just give up on him and say, oh, man, that guy's done. Like, it's a bad start. And not just a bad game. I mean, a bad start to the season. Okay, it happens. He should get better. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, which he has earned through his very impressive career. So for me, honestly, the panic meter is not even higher than a 5.
All right. There you go. Thank you. And then Question wants to know Witt and Bubic for Scooball Freed Invest. And he's saying he gets the Scooball side. Which side do you like?
So you get Scooball and Freed? Yeah, you do that. I don't Bubic, okay, fine. Best, okay. Get the Scooball and Freed side.
All right. And then this is one near and dear to my heart. Loretta wants to know, will Santander wake up before it's too late?
I'm afraid I can't say yes to that. Since the preseason, I was off of him, and he has definitely not convinced me otherwise. So I don't think so. Unfortunately, you can't really trade him because what are you trading him for? I mean, you could try, but again, I like to do is wait. There'll be I hope for whoever does have him at some point, there'll be a week. He hits 2 or 3 home runs. You're like, oh, he's back. And then you trade him. That's what I would do.
All right. Then Ray Jr. dropping another cryptic tweet or cryptic super chat. TBS, right. Dale Murphy on a bad team like Skeens.
Ray, you have officially just become favorite viewer ever because Dale Murphy was like my baseball hero. He's still my favorite player of all time because
wow, Dale Murphy, huh?
Dale Murphy. My mom's probably watching because she always watches. Not our first dog, because it was a she. Our second dog we ever got, found a stray dog, adopted him. I'm not kidding you. It's not a good dog name. I named him Dale because of Dale Murphy.
Yeah, it's not a great dog name.
That's not a good dog name, but I named him in honor of my favorite baseball player, Dale Murphy.
All right. Thank you, Ray, again. All right, Wes, Zebby's coming up. Would you drop him for? Would you drop Jack Leiter, Reese Olson for him? Either of those guys? Anybody? I'm sure there are some pitchers you drop for him.
Oh, there are some pitchers. No. Again, I need to see it. I need to see him not get lit up. I need to see him look like he's going to stick. You know who's a better pickup? Who, again, I'll tell you on this on the waiver video tomorrow. The guy who just threw 7 innings against the Orioles has now put back-to-back really strong starts and is finally looking like the guy who we thought he could have been until I don't know what he did in April, but he finally realized the season started. Chris Paddock. I'd rather get Chris Paddock, who's pretty freely available. Maybe not after today, but let me see it from Zebby.
All right, back to Santander. Jack is dropping him. Finally had enough. Would you pick up Andy Pajas or Dylan Cruz?
I didn't realize Cruz, but the Mexican Dylan Cruz.
Yes. It's like Neil Cruz, Ellie De La Cruz, Dylan Cruz.
Yeah, it's his Latino doppelganger. I go Pajas.
All right. Drop Santander, pick up Pajas. All right. Andrew just wants to know, is it too early to victory lap his 64% Pete Crow Armstrong in best ball?
Do it. I really try hard and resist victory lapping. Every once in a while in video, I'm like, I said, or I told you, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of sound like a jerk, but I loved PCA before the season. So do it.
All right. Zach Wheeler for Jose Ramirez. Average gamer wants to know. Who you got?
Stud for stud. I mean, it just depends on need. This is fair. So it's fine. I mean, first rounder offense, but again, just because Zach Wheeler was a second rounder, this is just because he's a pitcher. Yeah, this is totally fair. I made a kind of similar deal. Not exactly. I traded pitching for hitting because I had a surplus of starting pitching and I got a stud hitter instead. So I'm fine with this.
All right, then we got Timmy Tam. Trade offer. Big boy trade here. Fernando Tatis and Roki Sasaki for Vlad Guerrero and Jung-Hoo Lee. Which side do you like?
That is, that's another big boy trade. I mean, it's hard to trade Tatis right now. But here's the one thing I will say. Vlad has been fine, but he hasn't really been great. And a lot of us, me included, predicted an AL MVP season for Vlad. You remember this. We did bold predictions, and I put it out there. I mean, it's still in the cards because you saw the way he ended last season, and we know he's capable. Like, he's a guy who could binge and have 10 homers in a week. And I hope he does at some point. I think this is fair. I mean, look, I'll say this with Sasaki. At this point, I don't know that I want to take him on, right? So if you're getting the Tatis side, just assume you're just getting Tatis, right? And that's it. And if so, hey, I got one of the best players in baseball. And on the other side, okay, I'm playing it a little safer. I'm eliminating the risk that Sasaki is just a bust and that Tatis, I hate to say it, but gets hurt again. So I actually kind of think this is fair on both sides, just depending on your level of risk tolerance.
All right. Thank you, Timmy. You ready for another Stowers question? Louis 2K, would you drop Gavin Sheets for Kyle Stowers?
Yeah, I mean, I like Gavin Sheets. I mean, there's nothing wrong with him, but I think Stowers gives you a little bit more.
All right. And then F is a good question. Why isn't Gavin Williams a stud?
Oh, if only we could answer those questions. He should be. That's what I ask myself all the time. These guys, the talent, the arm talent is there. The situation is there. Everything's there, but it's not a physical issue. It's just the experience, the consistency, just it's those intangibles. I don't know. He should be. Maybe one day he will be.
Maybe. All right. How much longer we got for questions here? Let me know.
Yeah, I know we got a lot. Let's I'll tell you what. Let's just saw another Dale Murphy comment. I love it. Let's do 5 more minutes and we can start lightning rounding if we need to.
All right, let's go with some guys we haven't answered questions for. We appreciate our loyal viewers who are always on here, but we've answered a lot of questions for the same guys. So how about Tony Stank? Distant cousin to Tony Stark.
The Grateful Dead.
Oh, this isn't a question. He was answering a question. All right, sorry. How about Sean? All right. Sweeney or Story in a 12-team roto? Story's ice cold. Sweeney is red hot.
Yeah, but here's the way I like to look at it. And again, maybe you see this as like glass half full type of thing. But again, knowing just how things are in baseball, players get hot and cold. So now that Story is cold and Sweeney is hot, inevitably the next week or two, what's going to happen? Probably. Maybe. Not for sure. But I think Story gets back to hitting and Sweeney cools down. So I still think Story just has way more upside. I mean, power, speed. Sweeney's not matching him as far as that goes. So give me Story.
All right, Salt of the Earth. What's up? Wants to know, would you trade Male for either Burns, Cease, Ober, or Meyer?
Yes. Not Meyer. I mean, look, I'm still holding on to Meyer, but I wouldn't trade Male for him. I don't think that's quite enough. If you can get Burns or Cease, man, congrats. But do it. Try to do it.
All right, and then Lynn wants to know, Salvador Perez for Ivan Herrera. Who you got?
I mean, it would be there were a lot of people, not just me, who liked Ivan Herrera preseason, right? Kind of a nice sleeper, and he has come through. It would still kind of be a minor shock if Herrera did better than Sal by the end of the year. So I'm not going to trade Perez to get Herrera. But look, if Perez takes a little bit of a step back, he's getting older, and maybe Herrera has a great season all season long. I mean, it could happen, but I'm not gonna trade Perez for Herrera.
All right. Apparently, Jake Berger hit a home run today, so that's good.
There we go.
All right. Honestly, when we did our Trey Turner, Jake Berger, Freddie Freeman trade, I was more sad to give up Berger than Trey Turner. Trey Turner, get out of here with your slappy 1 for 4 with like maybe you score a run or something. Like, just get out of here with your slappiness. I was more sad at giving up Berger, but I got Freddie Freeman, so I didn't feel too bad. All right, Patriots fan, would you drop Christian Walker or Vinny P for Roman Anthony?
Oh, I mean, I don't want to drop Christian Walker or Vinny P. Roman Anthony. Well, okay, I guess I see what you're saying. If you have both those guys, you're like, look, they're neither of them having a great start to the season, and I don't need both first basemen. I guess you're saying pick one, right? Like start one at first base, drop the other, get Roman Anthony. So, okay, I guess I can see this. They're pretty close. I think I probably would still hold on to Walker. So you can drop Vinny.
All right. And then rest of yours, Roto League. Would you start Tanner Bibby tomorrow in Cincinnati?
Yeah, not a great ballpark, obviously, but Reds are still not a super scary lineup. He's figured it out. I think he'll be fine from here on out, so I'll start
him. Chris, Dale Murphy and Lenny Dykstra, Mr. Clean and Dr. Dirt. Yeah, Lenny Dykstra was Dr. Dirt for sure. All right, again, trying to look for, okay, Lincoln wants to know, is Steven Kolick legit?
Too soon to say. Ask again later.
All right, too soon to say. All right, Jeff. What's up, Jeff? He's got Bregman and Austin Riley, but needs pitching help. Which would you trade for a top pitcher?
I'm actually going to trade Bregman here, and he's been great, and he'll still be solid. But remember, he's not a guy who's been hitting 30, 40 home runs for a while. He's not that guy anymore. And so good start to the season. It'll probably taper off a little bit. I still think Austin Riley is a safer bet. So, and I think you could probably get maybe more for Bregman, considering the way he has started.
All right. And then I guess we'll end with this one from Durf Boy. What's up? Finally made an appearance. Are you starting Kershaw this weekend?
I am not, but look, if you want to do it, for the sake of nostalgia, or Uwe2K saying, I don't know if he is a Dodgers, his dad's a Dodgers fan. Look, I like Clayton Kershaw as much as any other baseball fan, but that doesn't mean I need him on my fantasy roster in the year 2025.
All right. And with that, we are done. Thank you, everybody. A ton of questions tonight, a ton of viewership. Appreciate the super chats. Appreciate all the questions. Appreciate everybody being on here as always. Don't forget, we will be back Sunday night to get you ready for next week's action. And don't forget, tomorrow morning, the waiver wire video, the biggest video of the week, will be dropping. And also, don't forget, if you're looking for another way to get your fantasy baseball fix on, you see it scrolling down below. Check out Underdog Fantasy. Join, use promo code ENDGAME. That's going to get you a free pick, so you get a win right off the bat and up to $1,000 in bonus cash that you can use to make picks, do fantasy drafts, do baseball drafts, whatever you feel like doing. So check it out, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks for being on here, and we'll see you back here on Sunday.